Well, I knew Nucky would be the center character. Nelson Johnson, in his wonderful book, did a little vignette of a woman, a local Irish immigrant woman whose husband was out of work, and she comes to Nucky to get, Nucky was very generous apparently and would give people money to tide them over during the off season when it wasn't a tourist season. And I thought, wow, I wonder if, and that was just as an example Nelson came up with of the types of things the real Nucky would do. And I thought, wow, I wonder if that's a character. If they took that woman, who is that woman, and let's spin her off into, and that became Kelly MacDonald's character, Margaret. Then I, was very interested in the idea that, the World War I had just ended, and Prohibition was just becoming enacted, and suddenly, the criminal game was changing in a huge way. Overnight, the stakes of being a criminal went through the roof. Suddenly, you could make millions of dollars trafficking in this illegal substance. Alcohol, which was legal last week, is now illegal. And if you're willing to break the law and move this truck from here to there and beat off the people who might be trying to rob you, with a gun or a knife, you can make a lot of money. So you got a guy coming out of World War I who just spent the last year and a half in a trench killing people. Yeah, I can do that, sure. So who's that guy? So this is Jimmy Darmody. Okay, and he's coming back. Nucky has a brother. The real Nucky actually had been sheriff of Atlantic City at one point, and at that point his brother had been the sheriff. So, well, that's an interesting character. Nucky reported to this guy, the Commodore, who was like this sort of patriarchal figure who was also corrupt. And interestingly, they called the Commodore because he was the chairman of the local yacht club. It sounds like this very lofty title. It was just sort of like this ridiculous. They called the Commodore. So he was a character. And then slowly, just the world started to grow from there. And then just saying, all right, well, this is a great opportunity too. The real Nucky, once Prohibition was enacted, here you had a corrupt politician who was in charge of a city right on the ocean. So every gangster within a 1,000-mile radius wanted to be this guy's friends. Okay, who were those gangsters? Arnold Rothstein, a very young Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky, Al Capone, who was 18 years old, who his real boss was Big Jim Colosimo in Chicago. And I said, what an opportunity here. Instead of writing the Al Capone that I've seen 1,000 times, I get to see the Al Capone that nobody knows, the fat little kid, like who's the chubby kid writing that? That's Al Capone. You find that out midway during the pilot. You've already spent some time with the kid, and he introduces himself. Yeah, Al Capone. You're like, holy shit, this is Capone before he was Capone, Lansky and Luciano before they were them. So that was really fun and refreshing for me. And Rothstein, you haven't really had a lot of chance to spend time with him in movies or series and getting to know those guys. So it was just, one thing started to layer into another, and I don't know, I just beat it. Once I had it with the characters, where then it was, what are the conflicts, and I knew it was going to be violent and some robbery gone wrong, and that's what happened, and took it off from there.
Yeah, in the Nelson Johnson book, there really wasn't a lot of blood or
no. Again, it wasn't a narrative. It was just sort of these were the facts. Nucky was a criminal, and he was a corrupt politician who, his criminality was more in the vein of, low-level corruption and election rigging, and he got a piece of every city job, and then he did some bootlegging. He sort of made the Atlantic City piers available to bootleggers. But for me, it was, that's why I decided to change his name from Johnson to Thompson. I wanted my guy to be a little more hands-on and a little more dirty. I also didn't want to take, ruin the legacy of the real Nucky and say, if I want to take my Nucky into darker places, murder, I don't know that the real Nucky ever did anything like that, and I don't want to say he did. So my Nucky's based on that guy, but he's not that guy. So my Nucky can do anything. My Nucky can die. The real Nucky lived to 1962 or something. My Nucky, who knows?